Hey everybody, this week we're bringing you part 1 of the very best slots advice that we got in 2025. Betting systems, strategies, myths busted, and expert tips on how to have the most fun possible with your gambling bankroll in 2026. And if you're wondering what's the perfect gift you can get us for the holidays, well, you're in luck. A like, a comment, and a sub from you is the only thing on our Christmas list this year. It's free, it only takes a second, and it helps us promote these awesome slots channels to an even bigger audience on YouTube. So on that note, happy holidays and enjoy the show.
There absolutely is stuff on slot machines that you can do to increase your chances of at least walking away with some cash. Now, you know, it's gambling. Slot machines are the worst game to play in a casino. We all know that. But if you at least maximize it by learning the game and learning how all the mechanics work and all of these things, then you'll end up being better for it.
So let's talk specifically about perceived persistence, like what you're saying about the classic example of like the pot filling as time goes on. For almost all games that do this, when you see the pot fill, your odds of triggering that bonus are not improved. But what it does show is it gives you a sense of how long it's been since that particular game did, or that feature was triggered. And is that useful information? Well, you know, it's one of those maybe above my pay grade things to understand that in the long term, a game will bonus at a certain frequency. And if it hasn't bonused a while in the short term, does that mean it's quote unquote ready? Well, eventually it all evens out. But in the short term, it has absolutely no effect. So, you know, let that swirl around in your head. And I guess I don't have the exact answer. But yeah, I mean, you know, perceived persistence, I know, like when I see the firecrackers all lit and you only have one more to go, it's like, does that make me want to play the game a little more? I mean, the answer is it kind of does. And even though I know that whether the pot is filled or it's not filled, it has no bearing on when the feature is triggered. But I mean, it's just something almost all developers use because they know it's effective, and they know for the majority of players out there, boy, it absolutely ropes them in. And I hear it in the casino again and again. It's like, oh, they're all filled, I have to keep playing until I get the bonus, right?
There's nothing worse than leaving the casino with no money. But we've all been there, and we're just like, oh man, if I just quit when I was ahead.
Yeah.
And this journey has shown me even more so, because I record every session for the most part. Of course, the ones that I don't record are like my best hits ever. But I see how much I actually am above my starting bankroll. And the more I saw that, the more it became clear to me, hey, if you get above, just stop. Set those walkaway limits. I never really play my money down below half. So at a minimum, if I have a $500 bankroll, I know that for sure I'm leaving with $250, which is half my money. And it's a lot easier to come back from a $250 loss than a $500 loss. And the more I started implementing this, the more I started seeing success. And I just wanted to show that to people like me. Yeah, are you going to leave the casino with thousands and thousands of dollars every time? No. But are you going to leave with more money? Yeah.
Not all slot machines are created equal. A lot of people think that it's all the same and it's just completely random and it's random number generated, and you have the same exact chance to walk into a casino and sit down at any machine and hit a button. You're either going to win or you're not. And that's not the way it works at all. Yes, they are random, and yes, they are governed by a random number generator, but each game is designed specifically for a specific player in mind. High limit, low limit, to keep you in the chair as long as possible. So you have to have a goal. You're not after jackpots. You just want to have a good time. Definitely better machines to play. Do you want to try to hit your first hand bait? Definitely better machines to play. So you want a chance at a big progressive. There's only certain machines that you can play, and there's advantage play machines where must hit by progressives. So they are not created equally. So a little bit of education and gambling can go a long way.
If the viewers haven't seen some of the videos that you've made, you go into a lot of detail, step by step, your approach to, how to give yourself the best chance of winning, depending on what your goals are. I was hoping we could walk through some of those steps and give people a lesson right now. Two things stood out to me. One, that you've made content designed for people with lower bankrolls, even down to like $100 or something like that. And then maybe a more medium sized bankroll. Could you give us like a step-by-step walkthrough of your approach, your process from the time you walk into the casino? What steps are you taking? What are you doing to try to give yourself the best chance of winning?
Again, so it depends on what your goals and what you're actually after and trying to achieve. So we got a lot of people that hit us up and they're trying to hit their next tier credit level for Caesars or MGM or whatever, and earn some free play. We have a lot of these videos came about because of comments that I would get on the channel from people say, I've been gambling for 13, 20 years and I've never hit a hand pay. Okay, you're doing it wrong. So that's why we started making those videos, because it's just ludicrous to me when we come out, we hit multiple hand pays every single trip. So, and if I can do it, anybody can do it. And that's why I make those videos. You're like, this is, I'm not telling anybody how to play, but this is how I play. And, we've hit several hand pays off of just putting a $100 bill in the machine. So, I mean, that's low limit to me, is playing, $100 bill in the machine. And I think we hit like 4 or 6 jackpots just off $100 on our last trip to Harris, Cherokee, North Carolina. Just starting with a $100 bill in the machines, videoing from start to finish. And there's definitely ways to get it done.
Like you're saying, you talk to people that have done this for years and they've never had the results that you get much more reliably. What is it that you're doing specifically, like step by step, that is giving you a better chance with that $100 to hit a hand pay or multiple hand pay?
All right, so I'll give you the number one tip that will help everybody out there. And it's common sense to me, but it may not be for a lot of viewers out there. You're never going to lose money faster playing slots than playing low bets. That's just period. That's the way it is. And I've noticed that over years of gambling, and people don't realize how much money that they will sink into a machine, just $100 bill after $100 bill, doing 88 cents a dollar, $1.75, and trying to hit something crazy or hand pay. You have to understand, on a dollar spin, the minimum jackpot hand pay threshold right now is $1,200 for the IRS. So $1,200 before the machine locks up and you get a hand pay. You need to hit something 1,200x times your bet amount of $1, and people don't realize how insanely hard that is actually to do to get a big win. So and we see some comments be like, hey, I was playing this game and that you recommended on the channel, and triple stars or whatever, and we hit this hit and it was only $37. And we're like, okay, well, what denomination were you playing? What was the max bet? Oh, we were playing 25-cent denomination. The max bet was 50 cents. But like, a $37 hit on a 50-cent bet is a great hit. It's all relative. So, but that is one of the number one tips I can give everybody out there is you're not going to realize you're never going to lose money faster by just sitting there constantly playing small bets. And that's how we've hit all these hand pays with $100. Is I'll start with $100 and then we'll hit a bonus, and then we're immediately stepping up and doing some bigger bet spins. So, I mean, you don't need near 1,200x with a $5 spin.
I mean, we've been working on this Escalator system, which for me is my favorite.
Right now, yeah.
Like we're talking about the degenerator and in the way we came up with that, again, from table games. I mean, I have 30 years of playing blackjack experience. The last 2 years before starting the channel playing blackjack, I was actually a winning blackjack player. I wasn't counting cards, but it was this system of, I would come in, I would limit my loss. Like if I would buy in for $1,000, I was only playing a couple times a month in conjunction with being in a casino, wouldn't play more, set a limit, which was hard for me to do. Again, I mentioned I like to gamble. So these are things that I've done that, discipline and keeping things under control. Max loss. Also, get the heck out of there with a win is the biggest thing. And so, if you think about blackjack being basically a 50-50 game, I mean, obviously the house has an edge, but I do play perfect strategy blackjack. I mean, I get the card memorized pretty darn well. And at a casino that has the best odds. Like I'm playing usually in the high limit room where you can, surrender and they hit on 12, 17, et cetera.
3-2.
Or stay on 17, I mean. 3-2 especially, so the odds are going to be the best that they can be for me, even though I'm going to be losing sometimes. But if you're flipping coins, now you're winning and you're taking their money and stacking on top, and you can get a streak of a few hands together that would produce my win, and I would get the heck out of there. Biggest part, to get the heck out of there. I love this Accelerator thing. It's a similar idea where like you put $100 in and you're doing some bet. And for us, it starts at $2.50 on nickel. So we're off the floor bet. This is all a lot of jackpot judo stuff that I absolutely love, and we've kind of adapted it more for us because like he's a higher limit player. So we're going to do this at a little bit lower limit. So it's a $2.50 bet that we'll just continue to make until we either run out of money or get above $100. And when we do, now with the casino's money, we're going to do a $3.75 bet. Get about $200. We're going to switch off to dimes, do a $5 bet. We've been able to take $100 and turn it into 1,000 or more quite a few times. We can't ever see you get it in a regular video. It's kind of become a really funny thing now, like where I've done it off camera a few times. I've done it on Vegas Low Limit stream. I've done it on Jackpot Famous stream
And on the while.
and on our live. Can't seem to produce it on a regular video. And it'll happen obviously eventually, but like now you're taking, it's this outsized amazing experience of I turned $100 into 1,000, which is an amazing experience. We also set a $300 floor and a $500 floor. So like if we don't quite get to 1,000, we're not going to give it all back if we've turned 100 into 300 or 100 into 500.
Is people ask us, should I be raising my denomination? Am I going to win more, or am I going to have better odds by raising my denomination, going from $1 to $5, $5 to $10, whatever the case is? And it's a tricky answer because technically speaking, if you take away everything, technically speaking, the answer is your odds are better the higher the denomination you play. Most casinos set it up that way. But the caveat to that is that you won't notice it in the short term. And we'll talk about this later when we get to RTP. But in the short term, you're not going to notice some sudden jump going from $1 to $5 or even $1 to $10. Now, a lot of people say, I don't know. As soon as I switch, I start getting bonus rounds. That was purely coincidence, that happened. We hear both sides of it. Why is it that as soon as I raise my bet, I start getting bonus rounds? And then 2 questions later, why is it when I lower my bet, I start getting bonus rounds? It's randomness. That's what's going on there, But our brains, and this is a fascinating topic for me, but our brains are tuned to be pattern seeking. We're just built that way. We're built to look for patterns, especially with things that we don't understand or can't comprehend. And randomness is one of those things. Unless you had heavy math and you understand statistics and all that kind of stuff, it's very difficult and challenging for the average human being to understand the idea and the concept of randomness. And boy, do slot machine manufacturers and casinos exploit the hell out of that. I mean, that's why these games are built the way they are, because they show you things that you think are patterns and you will start to act on that. And so in the case of you raising your bet, you've been betting $3 a spin and suddenly you go to $15 a spin, but you get a bonus round within a couple of spins. Your brain has made that connection, right? Your brain has told you, I did that. By me raising my bet, that activated the bonus round. That's not what happened. That was just purely coincidental and you got really lucky. But our brains make that connection and then the trap is set.
Discipline is, and like you said, is the one factor we have absolute control over. We don't know what's going to happen on the slot machine or at the blackjack table, but I can 100% set limits for myself. And if I never do that and I don't practice that discipline and I don't develop it, it's like a skill like anything else, then I will never be successful because I will constantly be chasing, giving away my money, or when I have lost, chasing losses. So discipline is so key, and you have to practice it all the time. It's funny enough, I know there's been a lot of heat recently against social casinos, but a better example is like the Goldfish app casinos, those slot-based free game apps. I like to play on there, and I really practice because that's free money. That's nothing's on there, right? It's just coins. And I like to practice on there. Hey, if I can have a big win on that and just turn it off, put my phone down, I'm instilling that sense of discipline. And that's really what helps you be successful in the long run. Greed is what keeps us going. It's that psychological push to keep going. Oh, my next win is around the corner, or the next one's going to be even bigger. And I mean, like you said, casinos, they have people on staff, they have scientists that know human psychology and they use it for their advantage. So we have to understand that and practice discipline so that we can be more successful.
Let's just say that the RTP was on an individual session and it was set to 90%. That meant that every single time you play a slot, and you put $100 in, you're going to lose $10. Think if it was set up that way. Would anybody play slots? The answer would be no.
Not for very long.
Because you would always lose. Every single time you played, you would always lose $10, right? And so the next time you go with 90, and then you leave with 80, and then you go with 80, and you leave with 70. You see what I'm saying? So the RTP can't be factored into such a small sample size because then nobody would play. And so that's why they expanded into very, very large numbers of probabilities, okay? The best thing that you can relate RTP to is, let's say that you had 30 different games. They're all different slot machines, okay? But they're all set at 90%, which is the national average, by the way. For most casinos, the national average is 90%. So 10% hold for the casino, 90% back for the players. Maybe not you individually, but overall, 90%. It's pretty fair, I think. It's still gambling, but I think it's pretty fair. But consider there's 30 games. They're all set at 90%. How they're going to get to that 90% is much different, and that is the volatility. Basically, the swings on either side of that line, which is the RTP, okay? On the other end, you have the huff and puffs and the higher volatility games where you're on the biggest roller coaster they have, where it's like a giant dip, and then, you got the loops and everything else like that. That would be a higher volatility slot. They're both going to end up at 90% after about 1 million or 2 million pulls. But again, how they get there is just a different path. One, you're going to just see a lot of swings on either side, a lot of hot and coldness that I'm using in quotes. You're going to see a string of not getting anything, but then get a bonus round and make it all back, right? Those are the higher volatility games. They're high risk, high reward. And this volatility just isn't in slot machines. It's in the stock market. It's all over the place. There's certain stocks that are more riskier than others, and the reason they're riskier is because they have a lot of this, right? And that's why most people say don't invest in those, invest in like mutual funds and stuff, which are just kind of slowly over time, that kind of stuff. I'm not giving you investment advice. I'm just saying as a relation. But it's the same thing here, right? So what can you do? What should you do? So let's say that you're going to go in with $1,000 and your goal is to try to last as long as possible, which I think should be everybody's goal, because you got to remember it's for entertainment. Going and playing slots or any other games, you're not there to make money. I know that's what everybody thinks you're supposed to be doing. Like, why shouldn't you? You go to a casino to make money. No, you should go to the casino to have fun with the hopes of making money. Like, that's the way you should be saying it. So what do? My recommendation is ignore RTP, because number one, you don't know what it is. You don't know what an RTP is set on any of these machines in the casino, and there's no way to test for it, okay? You would have to play that game hundreds of thousands of times to get any kind of general idea, especially the newer games, on what the RTP setting is on that machine. But what you can identify in the short term is the variance or the volatility. What are the swings like on this game? Are you a risky person? Do you like to just go in for the $1,000 and get it over with real quick? Then go play a high volatility game like the Huff and Puff or something like that, and just hope that you get something good. But if you're trying to make it last, play a lower volatility game. You give up those big progressive potentials and the big bonus rounds and all that kind of stuff. But you're going to be there a lot longer because you have more churn. You have more coin out and coin in, and you can kind of play steady, earn those comps, stay there a longer time, things like that. There's nothing wrong with playing either one of those, okay? A lot of people say, oh, you guys are always crapping all over high volatility games. No. We play them, but there's a right time to play them. And the right time to play them is when you feel like being risky and you know what's about to happen, because it could drain you very, very fast and you don't get any spins. And what usually happens is people are like, I got rinsed at the Cosmo last night. Never played the Cosmo. They tightened all their machines up. No, that's not what happens. I always question, what games were you playing? And then they rattle them all off. And I'm like, well, that's what happened. You played high volatility games. You should expect that, right? So how do you know if it's high or low volatility? It's not easy, because although the manufacturers have a volatility index for every game that they produce, it's on documentation that's unfortunately not available to the public. Now, some manufacturers are better than others. Every is really good because they put volatility on most of their games on their website. You can go and look it up. It's like a range from 1 to 5.
Okay.
I wish more manufacturers would do this so people understand what they're walking into. But here's what I do, especially if it's a new game I've never played before. Watch YouTube. Watch somebody play it either in a live setting or for 20 minutes straight. Okay, Vegas Matt's good at this because they'll sit down and they'll play a game for 20 minutes, good or bad, and show it to you. Now go watch somebody else play that same game, and you will start to feel what the volatility of that game is. How frequent does the bonus come around? If the bonus comes around, is it very lucrative most of the time, or is it kind of, maybe it's not worth playing because the bonus rounds are infrequent and the amounts you got out of the bonus rounds are not very good. That's kind of a clue that the volatility of that game may be a little higher, and you need to understand that going in. That could be your riskier bet. So that's how I recommend to look. You don't have to spend any money on it. You can, if you want to, just play low bets and kind of feel the game out. But you're not feeling for RTP. That's the big misconception, is people think you're feeling the RTP. You cannot feel the RTP in the short term like that. But volatility, you can absolutely feel in the short term.
Breaking your bills into smaller denominations is one of the most overlooked things to do. And I just happened once again this weekend, not that this interview is about this weekend, but I happened to cash some tickets in, and the ATM only had 20s for some reason. So I had a wad, man. I was like rolling with 20s. And I was like, good, I get to use my own philosophy. And I was playing how I play. I'd put 20 or 40 in at a time. And when that was done, it's a full stop. You're on the screen. You're on, take the lucky chance spin or not.
Yeah.
And there were several times I probably would have clacked the button away talking to a bunch of friends that were there where I didn't. I was like, maybe it's time to leave this machine. Let me go somewhere else. Now I just added 2 minutes of walking around to my casino trip, which means I spent a little bit less money, which means I have some for later.
That's really interesting.
On the conservative side, that's what I've really learned, and I really want to teach people. And converting free play to cash. Not everybody wants to play slots the whole time. So I had a friend who went on a cruise, had 150 in free play. I sent him a couple of jackpot judo videos on Bankroll building, and I wrote out instructions. You're going to play this machine. Every time you get any win, you hit the cash out button, stack your tickets. He ended up turning that 150 into $111, inspired me to make that video. And he got to play more roulette because that's what he wanted to play.
So, we've really gravitated towards the nickel bet as our base bet while using the degenerate. You can use it at any level. We can talk more about why the nickel thing is important to me, maybe as a separate question. But on the nickel bet, it's going to be $1.25 will be your base bet. You push that button until you have anything on the win meter, any payout. Doesn't have to be more than your bet or more than half your bet. It's just anything, even 10 cents. Then you would go up to the 250 bet. Keep repeating this. You get more than, or get any win on the 250 bet, you go up to the 375 bet. Any win on that, you continue going up. There's been some crazy times where we've gotten into $40, $50 bets doing this because you're just winning. It adds the same dynamic. Now you have a chance to make this bigger bet. We've had times where we've hit it on the 1250 bet, or I think that's actually the highest we've hit it on. We've had
live is at like 15 or 20.
Yeah, but nothing like bonus.
Not a massive.
That still hasn't happened. We've had several times where it's hit. It just happened again the other day. But again, we keep very good stats of this. It's the only thing that we've done that has a winning record. And in the times that it loses, it's losing less. I'm talking about like just sheer, like, are we walking out with more money than we walked in the door with? They're generated over tens and tens now of sessions. It's not hundreds, but so it's going to probably normalize. It's never going to be a winning session long term, but it's produced the best results for us so far.
The only time progressives are a plus EV or a plus expected value situation is if they are must win by or must hit by. And those must be clearly stated, usually by the progressive meter. So wherever it says it up there, Ainsworth, if you ever played an Ainsworth game, they're very common. It will say must win by 10,000, for example. The way those work is that whenever the game first starts for the first time or somebody hits it, the RNG picks a number randomly between the floor and the ceiling. So if it's 9,000 to 10,000, it's going to just randomly pick $9,435.23.
Okay.
And it stores that in memory. And as soon as that meter crosses that point, that person is awarded. And then it repeats itself. It randomly picks a range. A lot of people think it's weighted towards the end. Not on most of them. AGS slots does some of that trickery. I don't really like that. But most must win by and must hit by progressives it becomes a plus EV when it's at a certain number. I don't know what that number is, but it's around like 9850 out of 10,000 on a Ainsworth must hit buy. So if you see it that high, it basically means that if the progressive is at 9,800, then you can probably put up to about 9,000 in the machine and still come out ahead. It may hit very, very soon within the first couple spins you play, or it may go all the way to the end, but people have calculated that out and figured out how much money it would take to get it to that point, factoring in that you're still going to get line pays and bonuses and stuff during that time, right? And so it's definitely a subculture of people out there that have learned the mathematics behind that kind of stuff. But that cannot be confused with all of the other progressives like you find on Dragon Link, Lightning Link, Dragon Cash, Huff and Puff, all those games. Those progressives have a fixed odds probability on every single spin. It doesn't matter if it's maxed out or not. And that's where a lot of people break down and start chasing because they see a maxed out on Dragon Link. It's got to hit soon, right? Because it's been sitting there at 5,000 for the last week and nobody's hit it. So it's got to be due soon. But that's not what's going on those. The probability is exactly the same every single spin. But what is happening is that it's secretly growing over that cap. I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but let's say that the cap on the progressive is 5,000. You'll see it sitting there at 5,000, but it's still growing. That meter is still growing behind the scenes because by law, all progressives have to be paid back to the player. The casino cannot just keep whatever added progressives there are. That's why some games can't get pulled until the progressive is hit because they have to pay it back to the players, right? And so it actually continues to climb after that. And then whenever somebody hits it, it resets. And whatever amount over it was, it adds to the base.
Okay.
So that's why sometimes, and there's been videos of this where people have hit it when it's capped out and it resets and it's capped out again.
Wow. Meaning it hasn't hit in that long of a time.
And a lot of people, I mean, some of the myths that come out, they wait until it gets high and then they take the machine all out of service because they don't want to pay the progressive. They can't get away with that.
So let me ask you, even though a maxed out major doesn't increase the probability of the major hitting, is it fair to say that the value, while not plus EV, is better than if the major wasn't? Like it's better
Absolutely.
value?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you sit down at a bank, and then usually Dragon Links are in a bank, right? You have 5 or 6 machines, sometimes more. The grands are usually all shared, so that doesn't matter. But the majors are not. They're individual for each one of those. So gambling smart would be to look at the one that's the highest and play that one. Not because your odds are better, but because if you're going to hit it, why wouldn't you want to hit the one that's the highest? So that's the play. Another myth out there is that when they are capped out or they're getting really high, that it changes the probabilities of the base game, and that's completely false. They're not allowed to do any kind of trickery like that. Base game stays the same. The odds of getting that progressive are the same for every single machine.
I know my budget. I've set my things. I've reconned the floor. I know what I'm going to play at this point, and I already know what my budget per machine is going to be. So let's take with 3 real slot, 2 credits. I put $100 in there. That's usually what I'll put in a $1 denomination. Now, this goes back, remember I said I don't necessarily follow the 1% rule because the 1% rule for that would be $200. So, but I'll play it down. One, I'm feeling the game out. If I get to 70 credits and I haven't gotten a line hit, I might just stop right there. Maybe this game just isn't hitting right now. I'm not having fun because I'm not winning. Just because you put money into a slot machine doesn't mean you have to spend it. That is the biggest thing. It's the psychology of casinos. It doesn't say dollars on there. It says credits. Because the moment you put it in there, it's no longer $100 to you. It's 100 credits. So just because you put your money in there doesn't mean you have to spend it. But when I sit down, when I'm playing this, I have set walkaway limits for myself. On the low end, usually for me, it's 50%. If I get down to $50 on that dollar denomination game, most of the time, I'll stop. I know it doesn't seem like a lot of spins. And yes, the next spin could win me a huge win, or it could lose $50 more. Right? So for me, I had my shot. I set my walkaway limit at 50 and I stick to it. Now, on the other side of that, I have to have a high walkaway limit. For me, it's different. For everyone, it's going to be different. For my buddy Jackpot Jito, his is 100. Sometimes 50, but most of the time it's 100. And he kind of sets it as he goes. So let's say he gets a $75 line hit right off the bat. He's up to 174. He'll play it down to 150. 150 is his hard walkaway limit. For me, I have sometimes lower ones. Usually 30 to 50, I'll walk away with. And a lot of times I'll just stop. Like if I get a good line hit, I don't do backup spins. Sometimes I'll just say, you know what? I'm good with that. I'm going to take that $40, that $50. Because again, I look at it not as dollars, but as percentage of win. If you're betting $10 and you put $1,000 in and you won $400, you probably take it, right? So start thinking about it in that perspective. Another part to that, and I don't talk about it in that video, but I have talked about it in more recent videos. And this is what really keeps me successful or keeps me from losing money more than anything, is that we sat down and let's say you get up to 120. I might not walk away at 120. It's 20 bucks, 20 credits. I'll play it down to my initial $100. That's my new walkaway limit. I played a little bit, maybe I only played for a minute and a half, 2 minutes, but hey, I'm leaving that machine with the money I came with, which rolls into kind of one of the other rules that I follow. But no matter what, I'm leaving that machine with $100 and I'm putting it in a different pocket. So setting walkaway limits on the low end, on the high end, and then reassessing. I don't always stop at 50. Sometimes I play it down to 30. Sometimes I'll play it all the way down. Again, this is entertainment for me. So if I'm having fun on a slot and I want to continue, I'll play it down. But at that 50, I stop and I ask myself, do you want to keep playing? Are you going to keep playing because you're angry, because you haven't won anything? Or are you playing because you're having a good time and you want to continue? Hey, if I'm having a good time and I want to continue, perfect. If I'm playing because I'm angry because I haven't won anything, I need to stop.
So I just want to be really clear and make sure that I understand. When you have an individual machine budget, you use the example of say $100. If you like, that is the maximum number of spins you're playing on that machine is that number, right? Whatever's left in the machine, you're walking away. So you're not just sitting at a machine forever playing until some random time. You're saying this is the budget's $100. Once the $100 spins goes through, if that's what you're playing, whatever, and notwithstanding the walkaway limits, like if things just go terribly and you're down to 50 right away, you may choose to use that as a walkaway limit. But after your initial $100 spins, that's it. That machine session is over.
So yes and no. And that really kind of depends on the game. So if it's a really high volatility game, a lot of times what I tell people is yes, exactly that. I'm sitting down at this machine and I'm only dedicating 100 spins and I play it. And at 100 spins, no matter where I'm at, if I'm up or if I get to that low end walk away, I'm stopping. But let's say it's a triple stars and I get a bunch of triple symbols and mixed R's and it keeps me going and I'm staying around the 80, 70, 80, 70 and it keeps going. I'll keep playing that until either I get above my original 100 and play it down to 100 or till I get to that halfway point, that walk away point that I set, 50%, and then I'll walk away. So it kind of really depends. I suggest on higher in volatility games, definitely setting a specific number of spins. And this comes into play like if you're using free play and especially if you're hedging your bets with winnings, that's a perfect thing to do. I have $1,000 in winnings that I'm going to do $10 spins. I'm only doing 100 and win or lose, 100 spins.